I looked up at the end of the month, I did my numbers, and I had made $100K. I was like, whoa, wait, I did that not being behind the chair. A lot of people are gatekeeping, right? They don't want to tell other people how to do it because they want to be the one that is on top.
So tell the people, how did you make your first 100,000 outside of the chair?
Ooh, I remember that very well. What was it? April? No, it was May 2019. I remember telling you I was burned out and I wanted to take a month off.
2017.
That wasn't 2017?
Yeah.
No, I was about to open the salon. I had just signed the lease. And
Oh, the others, you mean the other salon, the luxury salon.
Oh.
Not salon suite. Oh, you make, no?
No,
Okay.
I was in the salon suite. So I was in the salon. No, 2017, I had just met you and we weren't quite working together yet.
Yeah.
And I was not making 100,000 a month in 2017.
Okay.
I mean, I was doing okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was probably like 20 or 30K a month. But my goal was always, I just want to make 100K a month.
To make $1 million a year.
Yeah, I used to say $1 million a year. I want $1 million a year. And it's crazy because, of course, we surpassed that like a lot, right? But that first 100K month, I was still hairstyling, but I took off a month. I just needed a little moment, right? And I remember we sat down, me and you, because look, you're my business consultant. We sat down and was like, okay, we got to come up with a strategy first before we just take off. You can't just take off, right? So we was like, okay, we're going to run this special. You know, you got Keisha and Olivia working. You know, you got your 2 commission stylists working. You selling hair online. Okay, boom, boom, boom. This is what we're going to do. So I said, okay. Okay, I'm about to take off. You know, I'm going to take off work. You know, I took the time to work out and just rest, right? Just rest. And I was nervous, right? Because I'm like, this is the first time I'm coming from behind the chair just to take 30 days off. So we ran like wig specials. You know, we were doing the custom wigs then.
I remember.
I was selling the clip-ins online. I had my 2 commission stylists. And I looked up at the end of the month. I did my numbers. And I had made 100K. I was like, whoa, wait. I did that not being behind the chair. Like, that was just unbelievable.
So that was before COVID.
That was pre-COVID. Right, pre-COVID. I was in a salon suite. And yeah, that's how we was able to pull it off in 30 days. Yeah, but it came with strategy. Of course, trusting God as always. But I didn't even know what working with a strategy was before I met you.
What's interesting is that you had to actually get to the place where you were burned out. Like you couldn't do any, like you had to stop.
I had to because, I mean, I was burned out, but sometimes if you keep going, like how do you plan for the future? If you're just going, like you have no time to plan. So I needed a moment to sit down, to think about, okay, what do I do next, right? And then I think I had just signed my lease or either looking for the salon. And I needed time to be able to go back and forth to the salon and stuff like that because we had to get out of that suite. That suite was getting a little bit too
because it got the other
cramped.
one. Remember the other one around the corner? You used the other little.
So I had So picture this. I had 3 salon suites, right?
In the same building.
In the same building. That's probably unheard of, but I had 3 salon suites. One suite was the hair store. And then the other 2 suites were like one big room, right? And they just never put that wall up. So we just had one big room. And that room was big enough for me to have my 2 other commission stylists and myself. And that is what that 100K month looked like for me.
What's interesting is it started with, I need to. It started with a need. Like, I just have to.
I had to.
Some kind of way. And then it went into, wait, I need a plan. Right. 100,000 is, you know, it's not significant. It is significant to some, but it's not significant. But the plan was, you know, I need to figure out, I have a goal and I need to figure out how I'm gonna get there. Like what makes sense? Because it wasn't, I don't even think when we had the conversation, there wasn't a thought of we can't do it. It was like,
how? I'm gonna do it.
How we gonna do it? What we doing?
You know, you always give me this long list of things we gotta do, and you be like, "It's gonna be a lot, Monique."
But you,
and I be like, "A lot, girl? That ain't nothing. What we gotta do? Like, what you need me to do? Because I'm ready, right?"
But you didn't sleep then.
I did not sleep.
You were.
I did not sleep then, right?
You know what? You had Peyton.
I had what was Peyton? Maybe 2 years old then. Yeah, Peyton may have been 2, so I had a 2-year-old. The divorce still somewhat fresh, you know.
Yeah.
But I was determined to get back on my feet. And when I say get back on my feet, remember I had just lost a salon.
Yep.
A partnership that went downhill, hot mess, did not work out. A 2-year-old, fresh divorce, but determined to get my business like off the ground. I just knew that I couldn't be a hairstylist forever. That wasn't an option. That was not an option.
Yeah.
Well, what was I? Maybe 30 then, and I always said I would retire by 35. But like you said, you do have to plan, right? And you've taught me that to plan, have a strategy. So now I don't go into anything without planning and have a strategy. But also, if you're tired, you can't hear from God, right? Because you too busy thinking about how tired you are. Right. So yeah, that moment for me was just kind of like a reset.
Yeah.
A reset.
Yeah. I mean, you had to get to, I think that's what hairstylists is, people in any industry, but hairstylists is specifically because it's such a labor, I don't think we don't think that as clients.
No.
We don't understand that. It is such a labor intensive job.
They think, you know what? I've had people say to me, "Oh, you don't do nothing but playing hair all day." Like, are you serious? Playing hair? You think I'm having fun doing this? I mean, I enjoy it, right? You know, I enjoyed it when I did. And I enjoyed the building relationships, you know, just the shop talk. And I enjoy doing hair. However, it is hard on the body.
Yeah, back standing all day.
I'm not just playing in hair.
Like multiple personalities you're dealing with.
Yeah, so you're taking on other people's energy. Literally, I go to the chiropractor now weekly because I have a bad hip and a bad back from standing up all day, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot, and I just knew I couldn't do that forever.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too how when people hairstylists start, I don't think that they're thinking about the end.
Of course,
I think it's probably more of a thought now because of social media, because it's attainable. You can see it, but I don't think they walk into thinking about it. But then it's attainable, but how? The how part, because we don't show that. Don't show that.
People don't. You know what I'm starting to notice is a lot of hair brands, a lot of them you don't even know who's the person behind it, right? You don't know the person behind it. But if you do know the person behind it, a lot of people are gatekeeping, right? They don't want to tell other people how to do it because they want to be the one that is on top. But no, like we all have to get out of this someday.
It's not good for your back and your hips, apparently.
Or your mental health.
Or your mental health, exactly.
Or your relationships.
Because you don't have time.
You don't have time. So like a lot of things are impacted when you are always behind the chair or always in hustle mode, and always on other people's time, you know, your client's time and stuff like that. So yeah, you can't do it forever. I knew I couldn't do it forever. It was not an option. It ain't never been an option since I was 20. Even going into hairstyling, I always said, I'm going to retire by 35. Don't know how I'm going to get there. Don't know exactly what I need to do. And I did not have any examples either. There was no social media. All the women that I worked with, they were older. They didn't seem not to me. That wasn't the life I wanted to live based on what they showed, right? But I was like, this cannot be the end.
Yeah, this can't be life.
Yeah, this can't be life. I enjoy it. It's cool. I make good money. I'm 20 something years old. You know, I'm making decent money. I mean, at 20, I was making $100K a year, and this is early 2000s. That was a lot for a 20-year-old. You know, but yeah, I've always had the vision to retire at 35.
So I think, you know, as we look around, right? So, you know, we're sitting in the distribution center in Atlanta, right? And, you know, people will see the end product.
Oh, yeah.
Right, of a journey.
Yep.
And not even the end is what they see today. So I wouldn't even say the end because there's so much more to accomplish, right? But they'll see the end product of the journey. but they won't understand the journey and the gems, right? Which is like in the failures.
Oh,
the gems are in the failures, because the failures are where you actually you build from. You can't really build from success. You don't build from success. You build from failures. I don't think people connect that, but you have a lot of experience in.
I mean, what is life without failures?
I mean, what would it be? Boring?
Right. What is life without failures? What is life like? God's gonna tell you, no, we think we want this. We think it's supposed to go a certain way. God's gonna say, no, I'm gonna redirect you. I'm gonna take you around here. You know, I'm gonna end some of these relationships. I'm gonna end some. You know, everybody can't go. So, I've definitely failed. Right. And going back to that partnership that I kind of briefly touched on, I just thought that was going to be my big break. Like, I just knew, like, oh, you know, me and her, we're both great at doing hair. You know, I thought we were both great at doing business. I just knew that, oh, we're going to be selling all this hair and we're going to have all these people lined up outside. It did not end that way.
And not because it wasn't a good idea. Absolutely. But because it was
you know what? I learned a lot there, right? And I probably still have some trauma from it, right? I would tell a lot of people, don't do partnerships. But I think you can do a partnership. Let me say don't do partnerships, because I know me and you have talked about a partnership, right? But you have to do your background check on people. You gotta see how they are, how their relationships are with their family. You got to ask for a credit report. You got to make sure you're not going into business with somebody that has bad credit. You got to make sure you have an operating agreement in place, so that you know, okay,
these are how decisions are made if someone passes or need to be bought out, or
absolutely
where it happens with ownership. Absolutely,
all of that. And we didn't do any of that. Right. So that was the mistake that we made. But I mean, we didn't know. We were young, right? We were just excited about the idea of, oh, we're going to open a salon, right? Really, hindsight, looking back on it now, we were never ready. But I wouldn't take it back, though. Because,
with a lot, I'm sure you learned a lot.
I learned a lot. It grew me up. So now when I would go sleep, you know, I've been able to grow it into the 7-figure business. But a lot of mistakes were made then. And you know what, I was thinking this morning about that failed partnership and just everything that happened before now. One thing that I did differently, one thing I did differently then, one thing I did not do then that I did now. My relationship with God was not what it should have been then compared to what it is now. So where I did not bring God into business, life, anything, you know, you just living your life in your 20s, right? I was raised in the church, you know, Christian and stuff, but I didn't have a close relationship with God, and I tried to do everything on my own. So I think that is why it failed, and God said, no, you're going to do it with me the next time around. We're not going to do it this way. And so I think that's why I've been so blessed this time around.
So when we think about, you know, what you just shared about the journey, the failures, you know, we'll unpack some of that, you know, in some future discussions. I think it's really interesting to really dig into that. Today we're sitting in this space, and you know, we've talked about the first 100,000, but that didn't get you here. 100,000 don't get you this.
Oh no.
Right? We've talked about failures. It was a part of this. We talked about God, who's a big part of all things.
Oh yeah.
You just tapped into this a bit when you said what you did not do then, you know, different, what you're doing different. What piece of advice would you give yourself, your old self, your young self, before going into business? What piece of like business advice would you give your young self based on what you know today?
Oh, the biggest piece of advice I would give myself is become the version that deserves all the things that you're asking for. That has been the most valuable thing. The only tool that gets me, that allows me to continue to climb the ladder. I'm always working on me, like going within, I feel like we can have all these plans, strategies to do X, Y, Z, but if you're not working on yourself,
personal growth,
you might as well forget it. Like I don't see longevity. So like, okay, so we might see people, right? It looks like they're successful, they're doing it big, the devil will bless some people too.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? But they're not able to sustain it. But I think if you're constantly working on yourself, going within spiritual, knowledge, just learning new things in business and stuff. Also learning how to build in your relationships and communicating with people and stuff like that. Like that will take you very, very far, way further than a strategy will.
Absolutely. That's first, right? Business success isn't, so we think about like business success. It isn't really tied to your idea. It's tied to your network. Right? And so a lot of people think that, I have this great, there's a lot of people in this world that have amazing ideas, but they don't understand how to tap into their network, or they have not recognized. I have this saying, and I'm sure everyone has heard this. Most people have heard this saying before, but you can go fast by yourself. But you can go further with people.
Absolutely.
And I think, that's why partnerships are important. It's important to be in business with the right people. Yeah.
But when you're working on you, right, you will be God will put the right people, right? God will put the right people in your life.
And it's unexpected most times.
Oh, yeah. Always unexpected, right? But when you're walking, look, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I don't want to say walking with the devil, but 1 foot in, one foot out. You can't discern who's in your life for the right reason. But I just feel like now in this season, anybody that comes into my space and my energy, I know God sent them. And I know that there's a greater purpose for it. And my pastor says it all the time. God will not give you a vision that does not involve other people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You cannot do anything by yourself. If God gives you a vision, it will involve other people.
Yeah. He'll give you provisions.
Oh,
and that's
absolutely.
through human capital. That's through, financial means. You just have to, that is the source of your life success. And success is, for some people is in business. Some people success in relationships, success but God is the source of your success. But after you realize that, right, I have my success, my source for success. God's like, I give you this idea. I give you this vision.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're going to start to move different, right? Yep. You're going to start to do some personal work, right? Because you have to always be scaling, business. You have to be scaling personally in order to be able to meet some of, what you're experiencing in life. You step back and you take stock, right? And that's the pause. We talked about it earlier where we said, I was burnt out, right? What we do now to prevent burnout as a hairstylist, even if you're behind a chair, if you are, on a product business or whatever, you have to pause. Yep. You have to take time, step back, take stock in the people that are in your lives, in the decisions you've made for your business, because in that time of pause, reflection, retrospect, you're able to say or see, this is the next place for me to go, and so when we think about that, right, that growth, right, that pause, because you do that now, whereas you weren't doing that before.
Oh yeah, right. I'm pausing all the time. Once a quarter.
Sometimes I'm like, where you at, friend?
That's my pause.
Friend, where you at?
When you
pause again, friend.
When you don't hear from me, oh yeah, my best friend, she talk about me all the time. I will go ghost. I do it all the time because I don't need the distractions, and I value my relationships. Yeah, but I can't help everybody all the time, right? Because I got to help me, right? So, yeah, I do my pause. Yeah, honestly, about once a quarter. Whenever I feel like that, God's saying, "Hey, be still for a moment." Oh, I do it.
Yeah, and it's important. Would you say when we think about biggest mistakes that you think hairstylists make, would you say that that's one of them? That they don't take time?
Yes, they don't take time. we're always in hustle mode.
Oh,
you know what? Survival mode.
Hairstylists are like drug dealers. Y'all are always going.
We are. I know. But I mean, it's a demanding job.
It is.
Clients always need their hair done.
Yes.
And then, we have children, we have bills, you know.
Yeah.
I don't see how anybody can survive without working or working just a couple days a week, you know.
It's true.
So yeah, I think another biggest mistake is, we don't know when to take a break.
Do y'all know how to take a break? Go back to 20 years ago.
That's something I had to learn.
Okay.
And I honestly it took me many, many years to learn to take a break, right? Knowing how to check out at the end of the night and actually get some rest. Like I had to tell myself, all right, put your phone down, stop thinking about work, just go to bed.
Go to sleep.
Just go to bed. Yeah, go to sleep.
Put things down. Step away.
So yeah, I think that is a learned behavior.
Yes.
Yeah, it takes time, but just know that when you do, you know, take a moment and get some rest, like a lot of things will come to you. You know, you'll be able to hear better, you know, what
you can't hear in the noise, right? You can't hear in the noise.
Absolutely not.
So you need that time. Is there another like big mistake that you think hairstylists is?
You know what? Not delegating. Being afraid to let other people help, right? So whether that means get an assistant, right? You still trying to shampoo all your clients on your own, you're really breaking your back.
Because there's an ROI to getting an assistant, right?
Oh, if you want to make more money,
start there.
You need an assistant. Because you can if you're taking 6 people a day by yourself, okay, get an assistant and now you could do 12. Now you can do 12 a day. Not only that, now you're helping this assistant, you know, hopefully she's licensed. You're helping her to grow so that when she starts to take her own clients, she's learned a lot from you. So that goes back to that vision of it ain't just about you.
Network.
Right? Yeah, that's your network. Now you're helping somebody else.
Yes. And then they pay it forward. And then they pay it forward.
Exactly.
And then we don't need to gatekeep because we're all.
Exactly. Exactly. So yeah, I think a lot of stylists are afraid to delegate. They're doing everything on their own. Not only that, they need booking systems. They probably still taking appointments by text. I did that for many, many years. They trying to be their own website maker. They try, what you call a web designer. They're doing the marketing, and I get it. It can be expensive, right? Trying to hire all these people to help you out, do some of those things. Yeah, but
you have to prioritize and figure out what things, by taking things off of your plate, focusing on the things that you are really good at, and putting time frames around the next person that you need to bring in to help your business scale.
Oh yeah,
because freeing your time up allows you to make more money,
make
right?
More money.
Or freeing your time up allows you to think about, to pause and think so you can scale and grow your business.
Yep.
So delegating and taking time to pause.
Yes.
I think they go hand in hand too. I think they go hand in hand. So most people don't go into business or move to the next phase in life because they're scared. They have a fear of failing or a fear of, you know, being judged, right? They have these fears. What would you say? What did you ever experience that? Yes, I'm sure you did. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, or some fear in business, in starting the business. And how did you deal with that?
I don't know.
You don't remember?
No, I'm telling you. No, let me tell you. I almost want to say I don't have fear in failure. If something don't work out
today, because you're in your mature pause, every quarter self. Think about that hairstylist. Think about your young 20-year-old self. Like, or think about their hairstylist. Like, what keeps people from starting a business? What keeps people from? Because I mean, you may have let's say $5,000. Like, I can put half of this in, but why don't you? If you have faith in yourself. Like, there is some sense of fear in starting. It's some sense of fear all the time.
I'm looking for it.
It's been a long time ago. 20-some years.
I don't think I've dealt with fear.
Okay, fair.
Failure.
Fair. Okay.
I'm okay if things don't work out.
Okay.
And I feel like I've always been that way.
Okay.
If I have an idea, I'm gonna move on it. If it don't work out, so what?
It just don't work out.
Yeah, it just don't work out.
Okay.
Now, I will say, going through that business partnership that failed.
Yes.
I had a fear of what people would think.
But that didn't stop you from starting. It was just after the fact, right?
It was only after the fact. Like, when it was time for me to move on from that and say, all right, you know what, I'm not gonna fight over this business anymore. I'm just gonna go and work on Go Sleek. I didn't have failure going into that.
Okay. So you can't advise the people on if they feel
fear of failure. I mean, that goes back to the working on within. Like, you know what? I'm so sorry that I don't know, but you got to believe in yourself.
You jump off the porch. Go.
You got to believe in yourself more than who cares what other people say. Who cares? And you're going to have other people around you try to talk you out of things, right? Okay, that makes me think about this. Okay, I may have a scenario.
Come on.
In my early 20s,
okay,
in the salon when I first started doing hair, a lot of the stylists that I worked under told me, yeah, you don't want to get a hair salon. It's a lot of work. It's just not worth it. So for about 10 years of my hairstyling career, I always said I did not want a salon because I listened to what other people said.
Discouraged by other people's experiences.
Yep. But then I started to realize, well, I'm different from them. I'm different from them. I don't have the same mindset as them. I would do things differently than they would likely do it.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't I get a salon? You know, once I actually got to a certain point of doing hair and having commission stylists under me, I was like, why wouldn't I get a salon? Like, why would I let what somebody else said deter me from this bigger vision that God has for me?
That's probably a part of the advice. Then it's people will always have their experiences that they will try to force on you.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to tap into yourself and say, you are different from me.
Yeah.
What God has for you may not have been that. He may have something completely different for me. Or I have enough faith in myself to do this. I know that I'm going to do things different. Or instead of telling me why I wouldn't, tell me what you did wrong so I can do the opposite.
Well, a lot of people don't know what they did wrong. Nobody wants to take accountability.
That's it. That's the accountability part.
Right. But I don't necessarily care what you did wrong because my journey is going to be totally different. So, I don't think that hadn't really been one of my issues. Yeah. The fear of failure. If things don't work out, okay, let's go back to the table and let's figure out what the next plan is going to be. Or I know not, whatever I did that didn't work out, I know not to do that, on the next go round.
Yeah. I would probably say to people, starting business, I think for me, there is not necessarily a fear of failing, but it was a fear of the unknown, right? And so when you can't prepare for what you don't know, right? And so I like to be prepared. I like to at least have a plan, right? And so if I don't know what's on the other side of the door, I can't necessarily prepare. I can react.
Right.
So I think in order to be prepared somewhat more so than I would be not knowing, having an idea, I think for me, my advice is always to people is to try to, instead of listening to when people tell you what they did to be successful, ask them to share how they failed, when they failed, because their experiences, I think a wise person, a wise business owner learns from the failures and experiences of other people so they don't have to repeat those. And so people will always offer success stories,
right?
Because that's a little feather in their cap kind of conversation. But when you ask people, tell me for real, that moment that you cried, that moment that you put your hand in your head, tell me that moment, and then tell me how you navigated that, or tell me how you got to that place. Then as a business owner, or as an individual, then I can navigate a little bit differently and plan a little bit better for what's on the other side of the door, which for me, I think would make me have fear of the unknown a little bit less.
I totally agree with you on that. And my pastor actually just talked about that this morning. About same thing you said. We all have a fear of the future, not knowing, okay, how's this going to work out? I kind of get that, a little bit. Yeah. But he also talked about why it is wise to have, you'll likely have somebody in your circle. And if you don't, you need to reevaluate your circle and, try to get around people, other people that are already kind of where you want to be, because you can learn, you can get a lot of information from them, right? So that you don't make the same mistakes that they made.
And know that their journey, even their successful journey, is not likely going to be your successful journey. Oh, yeah. I think listening to all the story is amazing, but the variables, most of the time, people, when they tell you share their success story, the time frame or timing in which they actually went through the journey is different than when you start your journey. So the variables are different, right? Somebody starting a business and being successful in business in 2025 or 2020 or 2018, the variables are completely different. So is there truly a blueprint for business? I don't think it is. I don't think there's a blueprint for business, because the variables are different. Their network is different. The economic climate is different. Just, it's so many different things. And I think that's when you have to tap into that thing when you're like, what is this vision God has given me? Right? Because but we oftentimes, we talked about this earlier, imposter syndrome. We oftentimes listen to success stories and people will try to sell you, on their experiences. But really what we want to take people on the journey of is personal, like what you have to be, it's already in you.
Oh, yes.
It's already in you. We want to help cultivate that seed that's inside of you through experiences that we've had in different industries, in multiple industries, through conversation, through helping you with resources that are experts in these specific things, areas or blocks. We talked about, not necessarily partnerships, but it's about having the right network of people to help you move, right? You're on your vision. We talked about God gives you people, right? And so that's what I think is different in how we should approach, right, helping people or coaching people through business.
Right.
I can't what worked for me likely won't work for you, but I can tell you what is in you is in you. Let me understand what's in you, and let's help cultivate that thing and provide you with the people, right? And so when you think about the fear of unknowns, that's, if I had that when I started business, if I even had that driver, where I would have been where I am today, I would have been there 10 years ago.
Right.
But I didn't have that. You have people telling you this is how I did. And you're like, well, that I can't. Well, what you pay for that, I'm paying 10 times that. So it's a little bit harder for me to get what you have through your blueprint because of just different variables.
Right. And a lot of people are not willing to. Sometimes you have to pay people. Like, listen, I had to pay you for some business. Look, I remember when you sat in my chair, you getting your hair done, you telling me what you're doing, and how you're a business consultant, you've helped all these big corporations and stuff. And look, you audited my website and told me that this ain't it.
In the chair.
Yeah, in the chair. He was like, this ain't it.
Friend.
And I remember when you told me your price, I was like, girl, I can't pay you.
I know. And it was, ooh.
Yeah, it took a minute for me to wrap my mind around.
But you move faster than I thoughts, which ties to what you're saying. It tracks to what you're saying. You like, I'm just gonna figure it out.
I'm just, listen. Yeah. I'm trying
to get to the next.
I'm trying to get to the next level.
Yep.
So I'm willing to make this investment to have a business strategist come in and help me, because I can't do this by myself.
Yeah.
And clearly my current network ain't gonna help me. Ain't gonna help me either.
Yeah.
So I need to make this investment in bringing somebody that has the tools that I need, the wisdom, all the business mindset that I need to help me get to the next level.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people are just afraid
to make investment.
The investment.
I think, I think that's a good one. We talked about this a little bit too, but let's just a tad bit more money mind shifts, like people mindsets with money, like
money in business.
Money, that in life, money in business. Like, I have this this group that of people that I invest with, and I would say this: it was not even it wasn't of our ethnicity. It wasn't black people. It was like these different nationalities, and I don't know why. I don't know if I've heard this before. I had heard it before, but they said to me about investing money. Now I've lost some money too, but you know, you win and you lose in life, right? In business. But they said to me, close your hand. And I closed my hand. We was talking about an investment. I was like, how much? And I was like, close your hand. And I closed my hand. And they said, can anything get through your hand? Like, I was like, no. And they said, open your hand. Can things get through? And I was like, yeah. And it was like, your money has to flow like a river.
Money is energy.
It flows like a river.
Mickey has always told me, you got to keep money moving.
It has to keep moving. It has to have a job.
Absolutely.
It has to have a job. Yeah. My money has 3 jobs, at least 3 jobs. But I learned that from that one conversation about money moving. It has to have a job. And so if you make money and close your hands, just I'm gonna hold this money, or I'm gonna buy this bag, or buy this car, buy whatever, right? Buy things that are not gonna yield your return.
Exactly.
That is so. My mindset about money had to change, which was about 15 years ago. My mindset with money had to change. Like I'm making money, but it's not growing. I'm not doing anything. I just got money,
right?
In my bank account. I don't have that money. Has no job. It's not serving me at all. How do people change their mindset?
So I think what you just explained is a little bit different from what I've seen and what I also used to do with my money, right? I had to change my behavior with money.
Your habits.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I would do, 15 people a day, maybe make $1,000. And guess where I was going? Straight to the mall when I got done.
Blow it.
To go buy me an outfit so I could go out. I was blowing the money.
Yeah.
So my advice, especially if you're a hairstylist wanting to, exit or start, something like bigger.
Scale the business, yeah.
Right, scale the business, is you have to change your behavior with money, because
your relationship with money.
Absolutely, because if you're making, let's say, for instance, you start a business, a product line, right? And you're making money, you're doing your clients, you're making money off the product. But when it's time to buy more hair, you don't have it because you spent all the profit, or you spent all the profit on your personal bills. So you have to learn to live below your means. That's the first thing, living below your means, right? So that when the money does come in, you have money to put back into the business to continue to grow the business and continue to move the money, like you said. But I think a lot of us get stuck in,
we want to look like money.
Yeah.
We want to look like
money. I've been through that too. There was a season I had 3 cars, a house, and a condo. Why? You're not a dope boy. Why do you have 3 cars? You don't even go nowhere.
I remember those conversations. They were fun.
I remember.
They were fun.
Exactly, because I wanted to scale my business. And I started looking at my personal life. I was like, why am I paying for this condo? I'm only there 1 day a week. And why? So I literally had to revamp my entire life. Yes, getting rid of cars, getting rid of a condo, stop shopping. All the money I was making, it was just going to my personal life, and for no reason at all.
And I can attest to that. I can attest to that because I remember those conversations. And I remember, you coming to the realization like, wait a minute.
Yes.
I really have to stop. Here's my advice based on that conversation to people, right? It would be, if you have somebody that you have decided that you're going to trust, you have to listen to them.
Yes.
And in order to be successful in anything, you have to listen to people. And you take what you hear, you go back and you self-reflect. And you're like, wait a minute, is this really true? Right? So you don't have to do what they say. You just have to listen, receive the wisdom that they're in. And I think that's the thing that really is one characteristic of you. I think that you got to share, that you have to because you are a really good listener. I don't know if other people would say that.
But look, I didn't know.
For me, I would say that, right? Because I remember those conversations, and I know that's hard to tell, to talk through finances and say, okay, we got to do this over here, but we have to get rid of this. We got to get rid of this. But that's the lifestyle that you have created for yourself, and you got to step back from that.
Nobody wants to be told what they should do with their money.
They don't.
That's the first thing, right?
Come on.
Don't tell me how to spend my money. But that's ignorant.
That is.
Right? Somebody's giving you the game on, okay, do this with your money, and then you can grow your money.
And you go get that again.
And then you go get that again. But honestly, the more money, you won't even want it. The more money you start making, you be like, oh, I don't need any of that.
I don't need any of that.
I don't need any of that. It's not important.
Yes.
And I'm just going to put this right back into the business, or I'm going to help.
Reinvest it in something else. So I'm going to some sort of social cause.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, help other people.
Yes.
But not on a bunch of material stuff. Like that was some of the honestly, I probably could be, I could have retired at 25 had I done, because I didn't get serious, honestly, until probably 30 years old. I got serious about business, money, just life in general. Yeah. Had I done the things I did in my 30s, at the beginning of my 20s, and not blew all my money, I could have retired at 25.
But that's the thing. We didn't have examples.
No.
We didn't have examples.
No.
Right? So we learned through some experience, and now we share. Right? We share that with people. We say, you don't have to look like people. Like, I don't need to drive the latest and greatest. I don't need to. That's because that's my goal. Right? You have to go on the straight. You have to have a life strategy too. Oh, yeah. Like, what do I want to be?
Yep.
Do I, I'm going to take losses, because in business you do. Can I afford to take them? Right? Right? Yep. If I can take a loss in business and still, then I'm doing a good job, right? And so that's what we want to show and teach people that are going into business. How do you set yourself up to take a loss in business, which you guarantee will,
right?
Over and over again, you will. Right. You're going to learn from that. You're going to make more. You're going to take another loss. You're going to make more. There's some formula in that part, and that's when you know you have a successful business, when you can take a loss and continue to still run your business.
Oh yeah, because the business is gonna keep giving. It's gonna keep giving.
Yes, it will, as long as you keep doing your part.
You're gonna buy that material stuff. I know y'all, they will sort me up and down. Well, you can buy a Birkin and it's gonna increase in value. Or you buy, that don't mean nothing. It's not gonna keep giving like your business will.
Absolutely, on a consistent basis.
Absolutely.
On a consistent basis. Absolutely, absolutely. And then my final thing or question is, because we're talking about growth, like mindset, right? A tactic for hairstylists is how can they scale? Because you said something real earlier. We didn't have social media.
Oh.
We didn't have social media. We grew up in an era where there was no social media. We had no platform. They have that now. They have a platform that can help them scale their business exponentially.
Oh, yes.
What advice would you give them? How can they scale their business on social?
Right now, in the time that we are living in, is the easiest time to build a clientele, to build a brand, to build a business. If you are not taking advantage of using social media, the Instagrams, the TikToks, the YouTubes, the Pinterest, they talk about LinkedIn. I haven't quite tapped into that one yet, but just social media in general. If you are not using it, you are doing yourself a disservice. You are setting yourself back, right? And when I got into it, there was no social media.
Yeah.
There was none of that. We had to go off of word of mouth. Yep. Luckily, I worked in a salon at the time where we got a lot of walk-in traffic. It was inside a mall. And I did okay. So the girls would tell all the other girls about me and they would come. So I was able to build my clientele in 6 months. But nowadays, like, you remember back in the day, people would stand out and hand out
flyers and put them on your card. Yeah.
And I mean, you could touch 100 people a day handing out a card or a flyer. It's so manual. It's slave work. Don't do it, right? You're wasting your time. When you could just post a video and you can get 500, 1,000 views. So that's like passing out 1,000 business cards, right? You may even go viral and you might get 1 million views. Right. So now, not only do people know who you are globally, because you passing out business cards, that's just around your way. You're local, right? And you want to think big, right? I've always wanted my brand to be global. So yeah, you got to take advantage of these free opportunities that we have, and you have to be on social media.
Yeah.
There ain't no ifs, ands, but you have to. You don't have another option.
What's the tactic? Was it like if I'm starting as a hairstylist, like, people post, right? And so you post content, but what is good content? What is it the consistency? Is it the quality? Is it what you're like? How does a hairstylist who's now behind a chair, who's heard this and like, I really want to get started? Like, what would you tell them based on what they have to do?
I would say it's one, consistency. I would not worry about quality too much in the beginning, because when you start thinking quality, you'll talk yourself out of it. You're like, oh, I need this camera. I need these lights. So let's not think quality. Let's think consistency, and let's think authentic. Truly just be yourself, right? And then look and see how you can stand out, because most hairstylists are just posting, they might just post a picture or they might just post the after. But what really works is showing the journey, the before and the after, and doing it every day. And all you got to do is put your ring light up, put the ring light up, put your phone on it, and just let it record. You work. Just let the camera
Let the camera do the work.
You don't need a cameraman. You don't need any of that. But you got to post consistently. If you don't know how to edit, that's okay. Just post the video. Just post it. So that people can see you every day, right? And then also, I know a lot of people may not, and I'm not going to say a lot of people. Some people are comfortable getting on the camera themselves. Honestly, that's something I had to learn to be comfortable, right? Getting on camera and talking more. Because I used to be so shy.
I do remember.
I did not talk. I didn't want to be on camera. But over the years, I just kept doing it, and I've gotten better at it. So I would just encourage, hairstylists, get on camera. Even if you're uncomfortable, just go ahead and get on camera. A lot of us will say, I hate how I sound. Just post it.
That's your voice, girl.
Just post it and don't even watch it back. Don't even watch it back.
Girl, that's your voice. You born with it.
Yeah, you was born with it. But just be yourself.
Yeah. So authenticity.
It's so important.
Find your differentiator, the thing about you, and then just be consistent.
Yep.
Love that. Love that.
Even if consistent for you is once time per week. Yeah. Even if it's one time per week, they'll tell you, oh, you need to post every day or 3 to 5 times a day. Honestly, that's not realistic if you're a hairstylist because you're working all day, so you might get time at night once you get left the salon that you can post. But one day a week, I know hopefully you're off, one day a week, but Sunday, Monday, that can be your day where you're editing or determining, okay, which video did I record last week?
Reflects me best.
Right. That I can post today.
Yeah. Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we've dug into that a bit.
All right. Well, this was a good conversation.
I think so.
I really enjoyed it. But yeah, I mean, my ultimate goal is to help hairstylists know that there is more to than just standing behind the chair.
It is.
Oh, it's way more to it.
Yeah.
So that is my goal. I want to help as many hairstylists as possible.
At least see their potential, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because it's definitely, do that and then let the generation behind you come do what you're doing, and you go to the next and then the next, and then you just bring people along.
Absolutely.
Bring people along.
So look, I'm going to help you.
Yeah. And then you help.
And then you're going to help the next stylist up under you.
Forward.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Well,
all right. Thank
good chat.
All right.